Back to Mike Neville. Mike, I want to get your take on the strange case, really, of the woman driver who 2 years ago, back in July 23, I always remember the story, in her very flashy, expensive Land Rover, crashed through the school gates of a prep school in Wimbledon, very posh area, all right on Wimbledon column, smashed into the school. The kids there, the little kids at the prep school, were celebrating the end of term, having a bit of a party with some parents, I do believe, and two of the poor little mites, 8 years old both, were killed. Now, the driver was 47 years old. She was called Claire Fremantle. And she maintained that she suffered an epileptic fit and had no recollection whatsoever of this incident. Now, this sort of thing does happen. People have heart attacks and strokes, and, you know, it's not uncommon for that to cause accidents on the road, as you might imagine. But what happened in June 24, the Crown Prosecution Service, and by extension the police, accepted her story and said, OK, case closed, nothing to see here. This was a medical incident. She had an epileptic fit and therefore cannot be blamed. Today, they've reopened the case. They've rearrested her. So that's a year on. Or the best parts, what are we talking about? Not a year on. Yeah, well, it's about 7 months on.
6 weeks.
7 months on that they've reopened the case and they've rearrested her. Now, my question to you, we can't get too much into the details of the case because it is a live investigation. But surely, when she was exonerated on the grounds of an epileptic fit, and by the way, she said she'd never had one before, the police would have investigated, have got medical verification for this. Surely they'd have gone to, you know, probably got not one but two medical opinions. Yes, this woman suffered an epileptic fit and cannot be blamed. How would, if they didn't do that, what the hell is going on? How can they reopen the case if they had absolute definite proof or definite medical evidence or testimony that she had an epileptic fit? I mean, do you think it's possible they just didn't do that job properly? What's going on here?
It seems very, very strange, Kevin, doesn't it? We take it back to the when it happened, just as Wimbledon started at the beginning of July 2023, and there's enormous delays, you know, in the sense that they bailed her out till the September, and then it was till the February, and then a decision was made in June. And this all seems to be as a result of pressure from the parents who rightly want a full investigation. And what struck me as odd today is the comments from the Detective Chief Inspector who was asking for any witnesses. Well, surely if they had witnesses and appeals, they should have been done at the time. And also the Met was claiming they didn't have enough, the delays were due to not having enough specialist investigators. Well, despite most police officers' dislike of the traffic department, these guys are very, very skilled. There are sergeants in the traffic branch who are very, very skilled at investigating accidents, seeing how they occurred. And then as far as the other things go, you would expect, as you said, the doctors to have done toxicology, see what she'd eaten and drank, or if there's any evidence of any illegal substances or whatever. That's the usual standard thing. And also doctors who are very senior to come forward and verify the possibility that she'd had one of these fits. And then the vehicle, there are enough vehicle examiners, forensic vehicle examiners, to have a look at it to see if there's any faults. But it seems just very, very odd that they're making appeals for witnesses and whatever else at a time when we're now 18 months after those two little girls, Selena and Nuria, were tragically killed in the most awful circumstances. And it just doesn't seem good enough.
And we do recall that immediately after this incident, Ms. Claire Fremantle, completely deleted all of her online activities, all of her profiles, and we heard that she had hired the most expensive lawyers known to man. Nothing wrong with that. She's got every right to do that, of course. But I would have thought, you know, if you were on this case, Mike, and somebody claimed, look, I had an epileptic fit, you would have got two opinions at least from eminent you know, doctors, professors, whoever, to confirm, yes, this woman definitely had an epileptic fit. She definitely suffers from epilepsy. You'd have got that, wouldn't you? Two opinions. I just don't. I don't understand how it is.
No, neither do I.
That the police have reopened the case, because they should have made it an open and shut case a year ago, shouldn't they?
Absolutely. And what you have here is the time as well. Those parents are going through agony. They're going through agony that their child has been stolen away from them. And what they can expect is an expedient police inquiry, not one which takes months and months and months. These things that you say are not difficult to arrange. When there's been a death, there's a high priority on an investigation. And so to organise eminent doctors to examine them is not an issue. To find people who will examine the vehicle, who will look at the scene of the accident, those experts, they're easily called upon. These matters should be cleared up within days or weeks. They shouldn't be taking months, which just piles agony on the people who are left behind. It's not good enough.
And the parents of these poor kids, and don't forget other kids were injured as well. I mean, they basically said to the police, your investigation has been thoroughly unsatisfactory. And under duress, the police have had to reopen the case, and they've rearrested this woman. It seems to me that we can conclude that all was not well with the original police approach to this case. So that's a fair conclusion, isn't it?
It is absolutely awful. And all the Metropolitan Police, I mean, I was proud to be a Scotland Yard detective. And I know people now who don't say they've been in the Met because they're almost ashamed of it. And it's just tragic that the trust and confidence in policing is at rock bottom. We used to be a country where people admired the police. People would come here and say we were the best police in the world. And all this is being thrown away. And it's just sad to see. And it's awful that it's taken the parents of two deceased children to force the Met into doing this again. I can't understand it, because, as I say, my impression, my experience of dealing with traffic officers in that field is that they're highly experienced and they have skills and they would be able to do those reports very, very quickly.
And one last point, if they've got it wrong about Claire Fremantle, you know, they're putting, you know, they've rearrested her. And if they've got it wrong about her, that she doesn't deserve this, I mean, they're putting her through quite an ordeal. As I say, we heard that she was driving a very flashy car. That's about 200 grand's worth of car. She apparently hired very expensive lawyers. I would have thought that if she's in the clear here, she might have a case against the police. They're putting her through hell again. It's a mess, isn't it?
It is a mess, because, again, if somebody has a genuine medical condition, something that they cannot help, and they've killed two children, that's something you've got to live with for the rest of your life. So, you know, it's a mess if she's guilty, and it's a mess if she's innocent. And the parents are left with this. But I can only praise the parents for keeping on and forcing this reopening, because there's obviously unsatisfactory things that they're aware of and no doubt will come to light. And the tragedy is it will damage that trust and confidence in policing that just needs to be restored, because we need a fair and honest police force that people trust. And as we've been discussing this evening, that's just not happening at the moment.
Yeah, I've got to say, looking at the details, this case seems like a complete shambles. It really does. Another police cock-up. Mike, really brilliant to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Mike